Hi ladies, I'm Pidge.
And I'm Moen.
Welcome to the Night Shift Court podcast. We are two shift-working fantasy book lovers and love nothing more than leaving reality behind for a bookish adventure.
Join us as we go under the mountain to discuss our favourite fantasy fiction tales and the authors behind them.
Come with us to explore the stories, one shift at a time. Hi ladies.
Hi! Welcome back!
Brilliant, thank you. Before we get into this week's episode, we want to dedicate this episode to Maggie Smith.
Oh no!
We lost her, Professor McGonagall, late last month, and everyone in the Harry Potter community is very sad about that. And we just want to say thank you for your story, Maggie, and Vale.
Yes, Vale Maggie Smith, Dame Maggie Smith. And also, we should talk about
Oh, yeah.
our new ink.
Yes.
We'll have to put the stories up so that you can see them on Instagram.
Sure.
But we recently had Little Girls Trip Away.
We did, yes.
And we got some joint ink and we all got the Deathly Hallows.
We did.
Among other things. So
Yeah.
we'll show you.
Let's get into it then.
Let's get into the stressful end of A Court of Wings and Ruin.
I'm very stressed.
I'm not okay about this.
So we're episode 38 now. We're going to talk about chapters 61 to 65 today.
Yes. Last we left off was a very stressful event.
Our dehydrated bestie died.
Yeah, no longer.
And Helion is there,
He is.
which we wondered why Helion is in the middle on this particular day at this particular time, which we will get into shortly. But he does winnow Feyre back to the war camp directly into Reese's tent.
Directly into Reese's arms.
Yes.
Reese is like, the way she describes it is like, come in my bosom.
Yes, yes. Like,
I can't make this stuff up, but I do.
I feel like you should have said into instead of in. We're 4 minutes in.
We've basically got 1 minute into the actual storytelling though.
30
And
seconds.
I've already been inappropriate, absent-mindedly. Anyway, Reese envelops.
Still not any good. Can you just say
Reese
hugs
gives
her?
Feyre a cuddle.
Yeah.
And she sobs.
She does. She cries a fair bit.
She does. She sobs. And I found this quite selfish.
Why?
Because my first thing, her second thing is where's everybody else? How is everybody else?
Yes.
But her first thing is to sob.
Yeah, I did think that, and I was a little bit like, well, but everyone else has just fought a massive battle and you disappeared, and don't you want to find out what happened?
Some people are very angry about her disappearance.
Yes. So Reese shows her what happened, specifically what happened to Cassian, and he's quite injured. So they've chuffed off to the tent where they are, and the healer is working on Cassian, and Moore is there, and she is bitter.
She's pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the way the description of the healer's hands glowing over Cassian's body.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, how, like the first time I read this, I was like, oh, fuck. I don't know how things are going to go here.
Yeah.
But also my brain was telling me, nah, because the mating bond hasn't snapped in place yet. We've got
there's more for
here.
him.
Yes.
Yeah, there's more Cassian to come. He's
Definitely.
not dying. However, I love the bit. Cassian's struggling to get up, and Reese says, your guts were hanging out, you stupid prick, as held them in for you.
I love that too.
Oh, that creeps me out though. Can you imagine someone's intestines and you're like trying to...
Yes, I can.
It'd be like...
Yes,
I
can.
I know you can. I know you can. And like that, you know, they're slimy and just
they
like
are.
coming out.
Yes, they
They're
do.
quite squashed in there, aren't they? So they're like, do they like...
They don't go back in.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
just stuff them back in like tissues.
No, they are in fact like tissues.
Yeah,
You can
yes.
stuff tissues back in, but they don't fit the same.
No, that's... Yes, never the same again.
Never the same again. But I can also imagine Azriel just being like, oh my fucking God, like this is so shit. And like, come on, Cass. Like,
Yes, and he's heavy as fuck. And poor Azriel's like, fucking again?
yes,
Again, this guy gets injured all the fucking
all
time.
the time. So he's gravely injured and Moore's just at Feyre, where were you?
Yeah.
And the bitterness
Yeah.
continues.
I think we talked before that you were quite stressed about this episode, but more specifically
this moment.
because they'd had a fight.
The besties have had a fight, and the fact that Feyre's like, I've never had a friend to quarrel with. Like,
yes, yeah.
it would be like if you and I had a fight.
Yes,
I don't think I'd be able to handle it.
I don't think we could fight because I
would we
think we
fight about?
agree on far too much to fight.
We do. And the things that we disagree on are far too funny.
Yes, yes. And life is short. And in fact, I don't give a shit.
Amen.
I don't give a shit about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Nesta.
Yes.
So, sorry, after the tent situation, Feyre walks out and finds Nesta up to her knees in mud.
Yes.
She's been helping. Old Nesta's on board.
Yes.
Isn't she? And Moore follows Feyre out. She says to Nesta, shouldn't you be refilling that bucket? God, she's a bitch.
Yes. Scathing.
Yes,
Like-
indeed. And she would know. Remember the look she shared when the human queen's in their estate and Cassian stood up and said something and then Nesta said something and Moore made eye contact, and I feel like it was at that time that she knew that there was a connection between them.
Yes.
And then she's just been, like she said to Nesta about keeping her forked tongue behind her teeth.
Yes.
And I'm like, why are you being so rude about it?
It's a bit...
It is.
Yeah. But can I just say something also in regards to... If we skip back one episode, when Moore chose to go to Az and not to Cassian, and we were like, okay, Cassian's fighting by himself.
Yeah.
What are you doing and why? Do we think, this is a theory of mine, that I think Moore has some sort of ability to know that if she went to Cassian, she would have sacrificed herself. Because if Cassian fell, gravely injured, Moore, who's less able to fight, just pure maths of the Illyrian general versus her, who's deadly but not Cassian. Yeah. I think she would have known if she'd gone to help Cassian, she would have died.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
Yeah, interesting. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
There's certainly, I feel like I swing back and forth between Moore, Cassian and Azriel. My opinion swings every episode. It swings to something different, and I cannot put my finger on why she makes certain decisions or why Cassian makes certain decisions or why Azriel does. I can't put my finger on it, but I love it.
Same.
Because it keeps me thinking.
The drama.
So Feyre and Moore go and have a talk.
Yes.
Moore says to Feyre, you lied. And Feyre follows her to her tent. Moore is clearly very pissed. Feyre says to Moore, you want to talk about lying? How about the fact that you lie to yourself and all of us every single day? Why haven't you ever made a move for Azriel Moore? Why did you invite Healy into your bed? You clearly found no pleasure in it. And at this moment, I am pissed because Feyre is being a bitch.
Yes, she is not accepting responsibility for the fact that Moore's angry at her for a very legitimate reason.
Yes.
She left. Rhys expects Moore to be all over Feyre if he's not physically able to be there.
Yeah.
And I think it cuts deep when Moore says to Feyre, if you'd had told me, I would have let you go.
Yeah.
And I believe that.
Yes. Yeah,
because
I do too.
She should have just explained. There's no need for this venom.
I feel like, Feyre, this is not how we support our girlfriends, especially if you are saying what I know/think you are saying. That's not how we support people. That's not how we create a safe environment and a safe space. That's not it. It's not for me.
Just have to give you a round of applause there.
Thank you. You're welcome. So Feyre storms out on Moore now because she isn't done with her bitterness, and she runs into Amren.
Yes, she does.
And Amren says, every time you lot leave me at home, someone manages to get gutted.
It actually is true.
Yes. Yes.
But I love it. She says it so nonchalantly.
I would definitely be Amren in the middle of a warlike situation, like just not taking the seriousness.
You'd be like, because at home with a brew.
I can't process that. I'm sorry. I just need to focus on
call me later.
Yeah.
When it's done. Yeah. And I will give you the tea.
Go and do it and tell me when it's done.
Love that.
So they walk back to Rhys's tent together. She smacks down the Book of Breathings onto the table. Nesta enters a moment later. She's watchful, Nesta, like a hawk.
Yes.
She is observing everything that's going on and following them around.
Yep.
She's in. I love it.
Yeah.
She looks Cassian over. And this was a moment, right? This was like he was really injured.
Yeah.
And she was loitering outside of the tent like a creep, didn't come in. And now she is, and she's seeing Cassian for the first time as she like looks him up and down. And he looks at her for only a moment before just turning his attention back to Amren. I'm just like, oh, the tension.
I was annoyed at Cassian.
Were you?
I was like, bitch,
Yeah.
like I know you're healing, but here I am. I'm worrying about you. You can see it. Don't pretend you don't see it.
Yeah. Yes, I'm sure he would know. So she tosses down a bag of bones onto the table, and Nesta empties the bag in front of her, and she's like, well, what the fuck am I what am I going to do with these?
Get scrying, bitch.
Like, you've given me. So it's 3 stones for the faces of the mother and 4 bones for whatever reason the charlatans came up with that I can't be bothered to remember.
Love.
And that is exactly how I feel about religion when you talk about your incandescent wafers, which, if you'll remember, they're called Catholic wafers.
Are they?
Yes.
Oh!
Yes. I looked it up because I wasn't happy with a iridescent disc, I think was what you called it.
Yes. I think you called it that.
Yeah.
I called it a disc. You came up with wafer, but Catholic wafers, I'd put that far from my mind because it was useless information.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
As is the reason for the 4 bones. But anyway, I just wanted to point out that the 3 stones, faces of the mother, and we would remember that the Morrigan is a triple goddess known to have 3 faces. I think there's something significant about the 4 bones, but I don't know what that is. The only connection that I've been able to make was, I think I mentioned about who crafted the tomb of the king and that it was 4 people. That was the only thing that I could really link it to. So I've got nothing on that, but I love these little bits that she drops. I'm sure it will come back.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out for something to do with 4.
That's right, yeah. Nesta appears really worried about having to cast her mind towards the cauldron, which is what they're asking her to do. They're asking her to find it, essentially. And Cassian says to her, nothing can harm you here. He rises, suffering through trying to stand up after his intestines have come out. It almost reminds me of after giving birth. And you've got to stand up.
Yes, absolutely.
And you're like,
the raw downstairs feeling.
And you're like, because he's had a cesarean.
He has.
Hasn't he?
He's had like what I would explain medically as the big zipper.
Yeah.
You know, my dad's got one.
Yeah, yes.
The heart surgery and the tummy surgery, you may as well have cut from
Yes.
asshole to breakfast time.
Big zipper. It sounds like a ride at Movie World.
Not the big zipper. The big zipper.
Big zipper.
Legitimately asshole to breakfast time.
Honestly, Movie World, we could name all of your rides.
We
couldn't we?
Let's.
We'll submit an application for
Movie
the
World,
big zipper.
We've got you. We'll have to tag them.
Anyway, so he rises, goes to her and repeats himself again. Feyre shifts closer to see what's happening, and as Nesta closes her eyes, she notices that Cassian puts his hand on Nesta's lower back.
Oh, it's very intimate.
It's the lower back. It's always the lower back,
I
isn't
love
it?
it.
Like polite and respectful.
But not.
Yet dominant. Because I could just like push you.
You could give it a cheeky
Yes. So
I should tell you.
Okay, go.
I've taken a trigger to ovulate.
Okay. So I shouldn't talk.
And I've also got at least 20 large follicles. So my ovulation is peak.
It was like the video you sent me the other night at work, and I was like, I'm not opening it. I'm not. Right.
Yeah.
Nesta's looking for the cauldron now. She's searching
not
deep
what I thought you were going to say.
in the big zipper. Amren is like, go deeper, go deeper. No.
The sexual innuendo. Oh, dirty from 30 seconds in to when they're 18 minutes in. All it is filth.
It is dirty in the right way.
I'm crying. Okay.
That's because you're ovulating. Okay. Nesta's breathing hard. That's what I wrote. It's not what out of context. So Nesta's suffering, looking for the golden. She's obviously she's
I'll behave. I promise.
No, it's fine. This is why I love you. So Nesta is not thriving looking for the cauldron. She's stuck within herself, right? Within her mind. She's not coming back. So Feyre reaches for her mind and sees what Nesta is seeing.
Yes.
So she sees the size of the army, of Highburn's army. She feels the hate. She sees the Faebane weapons, and she sees the king and Jurian with their commanders in the tent with the cauldron sitting behind them. And behind that, she sees Nesta standing there frozen. So she's obviously not actually there, but,
Yes.
fear doesn't rationalise in your brain in that way. So Feyre tries to speak to her and she's like, I found it. I see where it is. You can come back now. And Nesta's like, no, I'm stuck here. Help me.
But one thing that I took great relief in is the fact that Jurian is with the king. Because I was like, fabulous.
Yes.
He's still the double agent.
Yes.
I love that for us.
Yeah. There's more to his story.
Yes.
So Feyre encourages her to come away, but they both sense the cauldron awaken, so to speak. And she thinks that she knows that the cauldron knows why they're there. She grabs Nesta and runs, and right as Feyre jumps out of her mind, Nesta throws the bones across the table and they form a perfect circle around the spot where Feyre had seen the army on the western edge of the human territory, about 100 miles from her family's estate.
Of course it is.
Yeah. I couldn't have seen that coming.
No, not at all.
No.
How convenient. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah. Rhys is frustrated because they have essentially followed two of his smaller decoy armies while Highburn's been moving and driving them north, knowing that when they reach the middle, the army will need to separate to get through the middle. So it's like a bit of a battle tactic, I guess.
Yeah.
And they've kind of fallen right into it. They start to have a discussion around what to do, but Tarquin announces that they'll discuss it more in the morning because no one's ever made a good decision after a long day.
Yeah.
And again, Tarquin bothers me because as shift workers, we have to make decisions 24 hours a day, even when I've not slept and it's 3:00 in the morning.
You really don't like this guy, do you?
I don't like Tarquin.
Because I'm like, absolutely, Tarquin, that's a very sensible thing to do.
No.
But I understand our job is to make decisions with our mind. But when you're physically spent, it's different.
Maybe, yeah.
Because I remember fatigue of actually doing on-road work, very different to the mental fatigue that I experience on the daily now from just using just my brain.
Yeah, okay.
So I think he's got a point. Yeah. I'm going to vote 1 for Tarquin here.
Okay, I'm not, but that's fine. Agree to disagree, babes.
Sure. That's as big as our fights get.
And there it is.
There it is.
So Tarquin turns to leave and the best moment ever happens. Varian comes storming into the tent, looks directly at Amren, strides for her. He doesn't acknowledge anyone, not even his High Lord.
The room could be empty.
Yeah.
And they give each other a smooch.
He is still covered in blood and mud and gore from the battle.
Yes.
But he drops to his knees and he kisses her. Oh, my word.
I love them.
Yeah, I love them too.
I didn't write anything else other than
How did you miss that?
An incredible kiss. I was like, oh, I'm done. I'm done. I'm cooked.
That's it. That's
Stick
it
a
for that
fork in me.
chapter.
Yes.
Yeah. Stick a fork. What is that? Because you're cooked.
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
Stick a fork in me, I'm done.
Yeah, no, I've never heard
it's a
that.
very popular saying.
I love that. I love
It's
that.
a program dance.
All right. So Feyre then graphically describes Amren and Varian leaving the tent in which she wraps her legs around him and she lets out a sound that sounds eerily similar to purring.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I can see that from Amryn too.
Yeah.
Cassian's laughing. Of course he is. And they turn to walk out and he says to Nesta, eat or bed? And she says bed. And I'm like, fucking eat, girl. Eat him.
Yes.
Eat him.
Also, his big zip is problematic still. So would you be eating if he couldn't also?
I feel like he's healed enough. Wait it out.
Yeah.
Wait in the tent with him, would you?
But also
please?
you don't really want... Anyway.
Go ahead.
No, it's fine.
All right. Reese and Feyre have a quick tired dinner. Have you ever had a quick tired dinner?
Many times.
What do you have when you have a quick tired dinner?
The G version or the...
I didn't realise there was an R+ version of a quick dinner.
Well,
quick tired dinner.
It depends which version of dinner you're talking about. But anyway,
Food.
a food quick tired dinner is like a jaffle.
A jaffle?
Yes.
Are you American?
No.
Like a waffle?
No.
What's the difference between a jaffle and a
cannot-
waffle?
You know how you have a toasted sandwich?
Yes.
And generically you would put it in a sandwich press.
Yes.
Well, a jaffle is the triangle version, which gives you like a pocket.
That's a toasted sandwich.
Yes, that's what I consider a toasted sandwich. But every time you say toasted sandwich, someone will be like, oh, yes, in a sandwich press. I'm like, nah, bitch, that's shit. A jaffle maker is a toasted sandwich maker that makes a delicious pockety goodness.
That's a toasted sandwich.
Yes, but if I say that, people don't understand because I don't just make a fucking sandwich press toasted sandwich.
Don't you?
I only have jaffles. Yeah. And they are the king of G-rated
Quick tired
dinners.
Wow.
Specifically,
Yep. Go on.
ham, tomato and mayonnaise mixed ketchup, cheese, and pickled red onions. Oh. I'm salivating. Oh. I'm so sorry. That
I remember the first time you told me about pickles and you were salivating.
Anything pickles, my mouth fills up with saliva.
Yeah, salty, delicious. Oh, that was unnecessary. I'm going to snip that.
No.
And I'm going to record it on one of those buttons that we have at work.
We need it on a button on this.
Yeah, we do. Good.
And what did you say? Salty and delicious.
Salty and delicious.
And here I am in the background. Put it on a button. Yes.
Okay.
And okay, so getting back to quick tie dinners.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Well, so what's yours?
Oh God. You'll have to cut out this pause because I actually need to think. A toast. Probably
Yes.
just toast.
Yeah.
Like jam on toast. Nothing special. Lots of butter. Barely toasted. You can't have it burnt. Oh, makes me sick.
Oh, there's a difference between barely toasted and burned.
I don't like the middle either.
4 minutes difference.
I don't like the middle either. I like the lighter end.
Do you?
Yeah.
What's your toaster setting on?
2 out of 6.
Did you know?
Go ahead.
Did you know that I saw a meme probably about a year ago now whereby someone introduced me to the concept of the fact that the numbers are minutes and not toasty deliciousness level.
Really? So my toaster has the turn, but it's got a little display and it tells you, but it certainly isn't like maybe it is. I was going to say it shows 2. That would be why. That would be why.
So if I'm a 3 girl, right?
Oh.
So I thought I was like toast level 3.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually just 3 fucking minutes.
How long do you like your do? You're like, level 3.
Level 3. No, 3 fucking minutes.
Okay. I like it when you can just tell the difference between it being bread and toast. Like just warm enough that butter would melt.
Crust.
Yes.
But still quite bready.
And if you put butter that's from the fridge on it, it won't melt. But you got to have butter from the cupboard.
So I'm also confused about how we got onto this.
quick tired dinner.
Quick tie dinner in the context of Feyre and Reese.
Yes.
Okay.
Right, now Feyre dreams some wicked dreams this night.
Not about anything good.
No, not
You made it sound good. Sorry.
No, it's
about
not.
the fucking cauldron.
Yeah. I quite like the cauldron.
Yes, but she doesn't.
The cauldron's quite sassy, actually. Quite sassy, I'll have you know. So she says, I dreamed of the cereal bleeding out and smiling. I dreamed of the weaver's opened mouth ripping into Ianthe while she screamed. I dreamed of Lord Grayson, so young and mortal, standing on the edge of camp, beckoning to Elain, telling her that he'd come for her, to come home with him, that he'd found a way to undo what had been done to her, to make her human again. Two truths and a lie?
Yes.
Literally, two truths
Yes.
and a lie. So the first two things are real and they happened. The final thing is not
Bullshit.
real. Oh, but we'll find out in the next 30 seconds that it is in fact real. So she jolts awake and it's almost like, do you remember when you have those dreams that you're like falling and you wake yourself up
All
from
the time.
them? That's
Yes.
what I picture, yeah.
Yeah.
All the time. Are you okay?
No.
Do you need to see someone about that?
Maybe.
I wonder what that is.
I don't know. All the time.
You'll have to Google it.
Maybe. Actually, not so much lately. Maybe it's got to do with my new pillow.
What sort of pillow did you get? Is it that lumpy one?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
You know how when
Yes.
we went away.
Hold your head tight.
That's right. And when
Yeah.
I slept on something else, I got a freaking headache.
You did, yes. You did have to put up with me in the bed as well.
It's quite nice, actually.
Except for my cold foot.
Except for your cold foot. Get that shit away from me. I don't put up with that at home. I'm not going to put up with it.
Oh, you're like a corpse.
I am funny.
So my foot was so cold.
It really was.
I'm a
guys.
cold lady overnight. I get very cold very
She
easily.
had, so there was a top sheet, which I don't typically sleep with because I move around and it ends up at the foot of the bed. Useless. Something else to wash. And then a doona cover. And someone was freezing with that and required an extra 2 or 3 throws on her and was trying to scooch towards me.
I was very cold.
Thank God for Lauren.
I know, she did tuck me in.
She did.
Right.
I just left you.
to be a corpse.
Yes. Get away from me.
Feyre wakes up and she's on high alert. Reese wakes up also on high alert and she tells him that something is here and something is wrong. They hurry from the tent to find Nesta and they surmise that they've opened a door to the cauldron and not closed it.
Yeah.
It's the actual equivalent of being born in a tent. Do you remember that saying?
Yes, all
Like
the
when
time
you
if you've
don't
left the
close
door.
it.
Yeah, you're born in a tent.
Yes.
Yes. It's not what I thought you were going to say. I was actually going to liken it to a port key.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Yep. True.
Yeah. So the Harry
Agreed.
Potter reference again. There's a corridor
Yes.
and someone's missing.
Yes. I just want to make a point that Sarah mentions that Nesta comes like running out and she's still in her nightgown. And I'm thinking, who's wearing a nightgown during war?
Nesta. Corporate Nesta.
Nesta
Yep.
is wearing her floor-length nightgown in the middle of not only a war but an Illyrian war camp.
What's she wearing otherwise though?
If I was at war, I would be wearing what I would wear to battle at all times. You never know when it could happen.
You lady muck who goes to bed most nights 7 odd PM.
I would be well rested,
You absolutely would. You'd be the most well rested.
wouldn't I?
All of the bowls would be filled with water.
Yes.
You'd
Ready.
have your bandages at the ready.
Yes, I would.
And your
I'm not healing anyone.
No, but you would have supplied the inventory.
I would, yes.
And then
I
you
would
would
have
have fucked
counted
off.
it meticulously.
Yes. You'd have a spreadsheet of inventory
Yes.
that you could log afterwards and then you could fill it up again.
But could you imagine putting your jammies on, right? You take your bra off, you go to bed, and then what happens if your camp's attacked? You've got to
Well, you're
run.
fucked.
You've got to run
If you're Nesta,
without
you're
a bra on. And we all know that running without a bra on,
Problematic.
I would rather just be dead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you might be.
Exactly. I'd have to stop because I can't run anymore. I would actually hurt myself.
Yes, black eyes and such.
Exactly.
You'd give yourself a traumatic brain injury with those knocking around.
So you'd have to. So who's wearing? I'm not wearing my nightgown during battle.
Sure, okay. What's the boys wearing to bed?
Exactly.
But I mean, how are they having any good times if they're not getting undressed ever?
Well, none of them are. Cassian's not. He's got the zipper. Azriel's. Who knows where he is? He doesn't sleep, that man.
Oh, he's in my bed.
And he wouldn't have any clothes. He would have.
He
would not have his nightgown
He
on.
would never get dressed. I'm sorry. I would forbid it. Stand there.
You wouldn't be in the war. You're like, I'm not. Azriel and I are not coming.
We're far too busy.
Yeah. What war? What war?
War? I'm over here having a great time.
So I had actually written, like, honestly, who wears a nightgown to bed during war? Come on, Nesta. This isn't Callan Mike.
Okay.
Now Amryn turns up, right?
Yes.
Wearing Varian's shirt, so her equivalent of a nightgown, because also remember she's tiny.
She is.
So Varian's shirt probably is like a nightgown on
Floor
her.
length,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. It's 10 centimetres below the knee.
Yeah. Oh, prude.
And Varian comes behind her, bare-chested, of course.
Delicious.
We don't get any further description of Varian's
No.
abdominal area, which really bothers me. So they hear a song.
Yes.
Feyre, Nesta and Amryn can hear a song. Nobody else can. Rhys is like, what do you mean? And essentially the three that were made can hear the cauldron song, but nobody else can. However, Azriel comes out of a shadow and says, what is that?
Yes. Big what the fuck here. Is it just the shadows that are whispering that to him?
He says the shadows and the wind, they recoil. It's a weird thing for him to say for what he's experiencing. Like, I imagined he would say what's going on as opposed to what is that, as in something specific.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's what got me.
I feel like I need to hurry up and read the rest of the Crescent Cities
Yeah.
because I know that Crescent City 3 has things about Azriel that may help us make sense of these types of things.
Yeah. So the singing becomes more and more distant, eventually fades, and everything is silent until Azriel quietly asks, what about Elain? Mm-hmm. Everyone's forgotten about her because she's so insignificant.
Yes, but leave it to Azriel to note who's missing.
Nesta takes off running through the mud and rips open Elaine's tent flaps. Well, if I said to you...
Well, it is a tent flap, but anyone else would just think that that's a normal thing to say, but we...
The tent entrance. I come to my tent entrance. I suppose you wouldn't say come to my tent flaps either, would you?
They realise that Elain is not inside her tent. Okay, Elaine's gone, right? Right?
She is.
So they have noted that basically the cauldron has lured Elain away from the camp by showing her Grayson, calling to her and promising that he loves her.
Wasn't a dream. It was a vision.
It was a vision. So she's believed said vision.
She's dumb.
Again, Elain, please note, people are trying to trick you at all times. How have you fallen for this?
She's making everybody's life very hard.
It's so frustrating. Anyway, so she's gone, presumably to the Highburn War camp.
Yes.
Azriel says to everyone, we'll get her back. Thanks, Az. Cool.
His attempt at positivity.
Yeah. I'm a man of few words, but sure, he's said the right thing. And Feyre volunteers herself to go with him, which I find her mode of operation. She's always the first to be like, well, I'm going. So she shifts to look like Ianthe. I don't know why, but now I want to punch Feyre in the face.
I mean, it's smart.
It
is smart.
Because nobody obviously knows what's happened to Ianthe and the two that were with her. Very good, because the Weaver leaves no trace.
Yeah. I'm sure of that.
No determinable trace.
Yes.
Maybe some DNA, but no one's heading in there with a DNA kit.
No.
No one from Ancestry.com is sliding into her DMs.
Could you imagine the amount of DNA she would have in there?
Putrid.
You'd have to pick through it all, wouldn't you?
Oh,
The hair,
No,
and
sorry,
the
that's
teeth.
enough.
And
Do teeth have DNA? Yeah, they do, don't they?
Yeah. Yep, they do.
Yeah.
Well, actually, hold on. I don't know if they have DNA, but they have like dental impressions. If you have a decomposing body, but the jaw is still intact and that person has had dental impressions done previously, they can do a dental impression on the corpse and match them. I don't know how I know that.
Way too much true crime. Yes, Feyre now looks like Ianthe, which gives her the ability to strut into the camp undetected.
Yes.
And Rhys, he's not going.
He says to Azriel, you get them in and out again, Shadow Singer. I don't care how many of them you have to kill. They both come out. And Azriel says to him, I swear it, High Lord. Very formal titles for this sort of thing.
Similar to how they addressed each other in the tent when Cassian had been healed and was coming to.
Yes.
But Cassian had the sense to talk back.
So they winnow to a little hill outside of the camp, and it's always a hill. It's always a hill.
Always.
It's always a hill.
Is it because they like to make an entrance?
I don't know. But anyway, she describes Azriel disappearing and he becomes. So this is the first time we've heard anything really about what his powers look like in the real world or in the Fey world.
It does, yeah.
So she says he dwelled in every pocket of shadow, dodging ahead and behind. So he actually just became shadow, essentially. The war camp's vast, filled with sights and sounds that Feyre tries to block out. As you can imagine, we got a little bit of a taste of that at Adriata.
Yes.
And they eventually come to a huge bonfire where the soldiers who are drinking from great oak barrels, which Feyre recognises as barrels of wine, whiskey, whatever, from the spring court. So they're Tamlins. And at the fire, they see 3 children of the blessed, 2 of them dead, and the third one still fighting.
So they realise that these girls have been tortured and the third one hasn't succumbed yet, but the other 2 have. And obviously Jurian's there, so it's very convenient for them.
Yeah.
Because they feel some level of safety knowing that the double agent is in the room. Jurian actually realises that it's not Ianthe.
Yes. Like immediately.
Yeah, he's onto it.
He has, I'm telling you, he has a power.
He does.
He's Fey and he has a power.
Something...
Eyeball Daddy.
Eyeball Daddy strikes again. So he understands that this is Feyre who has fashioned herself into Ianthe.
Yeah.
And he manages to get message to her that Elain is safe and untouched for now.
Yes.
So they've got some room to move. He reveals that she's chained in the king's tent. So it's a bit difficult for her to be rescued because
it would be well guarded.
Absolutely. They've gone to the trouble of getting Elain. They're not about to give her up. So they've got the highest security possible. Hyburn's not going to be putting her on a stake outside somewhere.
That's right, yeah.
So she's chained in his tent with steel and a spell from the book. So Jurian tells them that he'll make a distraction so that they can grab Elain and escape.
Yep.
Perfect. Easiest thing they've ever done. Feyre also says, I would really like to rescue that third child of the blessed.
And I'll take one more while I'm here.
Yeah, I'm going to collect strays along the way.
They're in the tent and Jurian tells Feyre not to panic if she hears screaming. The distraction for getting the last child of the blessed. And he smirks towards the shadows and says, I hope you can carry 3, Shadow Singer. I told you he's got a gift.
He's got the gift.
It's very similar to Lucian with his eye that can see through glamours and whatnot.
Yeah.
Because Azriel hasn't revealed himself for everyone knows Feyre's there by herself. So he can see Azriel.
Yeah.
Oh. And he says that. Anyway, they rush to Elain. They figure out they can't pull her, or they can't remove her chains there. So he just loops her hands over his head. I don't know why that's really great, but it is.
Sure.
And she says to him, you came for me. What about Feyre? She came for you too.
Did she mean the 2 of them?
No, she looks dead at Azriel. Says, you came for me.
To be fair, I would also look dead at Azriel and say, you came for me.
Okay, if you came for me with Azriel and I didn't even acknowledge you, would you be pissed?
I'm too busy thinking about the fact that I said you came for me.
That is exactly what you would say to
I
Azriel.
would. I absolutely would. Moving on.
Anyway, so I would be pissed if I was Feyre. But anyway, yes, moving on.
So they manage to obviously free her and they run for the cliff that Jurian has told them that this is where you're going to meet the other lady.
Yeah, this poor child of the blessed has no idea what's about to happen to her.
She's on one. So they find her and they're very close to the edge of this cliff when Feyre is hit by an ash arrow.
Yeah.
Not the easiest thing they've ever done.
No.
It was looking good until this point.
Yeah, the king releases this what she thought was the Naga.
Yes.
But it turns out it's like a Naga dog hybrid.
Oh.
And all I could think about was, how did that come about? It's like a Great Dane and a Chihuahua. Like, what? Why? Like, just use the Naga. What was wrong with them in the first place?
What was wrong with them? Maybe they're all dead.
Maybe. Anyway, it's
I don't know how many there are.
Putrid child from Naga and a dog.
It reminds me of the wargs.
What is that?
From Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yes. Okay, yep, I'm with you. Yeah,
that's what I picture in my
another
head.
Matrix reference. Good,
good.
Good.
Because you still haven't fucking watched it.
I
yeah,
haven't,
okay, good.
Yeah. Anyway.
Moving on.
So Azriel tells her that they need to fly. She gets up after being hit with the ash arrow and keeps carrying on, keep calm, carry on as you do. Off she goes. She keeps running. Feyre summons her wings and Elain screams at this girl as Azriel tackles her off the cliff. And it's honestly my dream. Do you deny?
I have no comment. I'm right there.
To have Azriel tackle you off a cliff. Also, do you think this is the beginning of a love story between Jurian and this mortal girl who he has saved?
Ooh, I had never paid that any attention.
Because we don't know what happened other than some commotion, right? So how did he get her away?
I love that for him.
So I would love a book on Jurian and this child of the blessed because I think it's the beginning of a love story.
At the very least, it's a fan fiction.
Yeah, I could write it. What? Delete all of this like I never said it. It's my idea.
Copyright.
Feyre's getting closer and closer to the edge and it's looking pretty dire. They're both leaking blood. One of the putrid hybrids jumped on Azriel and got him and Elain kicked it in the face. That's the only thing she's ever done that's helpful.
Yes.
Is to kick this thing in the face. And Feyre gets closer to the edge and she feels a warm wind lifting her. A warm wind kissed with lilac and new grass, the wind of spring. Mm-hmm. Tamlin doing the most decent thing he's done in the last 2 books.
The most and probably only decent thing.
Yeah.
Not forgetting his first action of the entire series was to send Andrus beyond the wall.
To death.
To actual death. Dear old Andrus, may he rest in peace.
Tamlin goes... I don't know how to picture it, but he's in his
exactly
beast form.
That's exactly bang on.
I've pictured him on his paws, like 4 legs, going and he's being attacked by these things at the same time.
Yeah.
Anyway, the fact that he can get out a full breath is probably pretty good. One of them breaks free though.
Yes.
And
importantly,
Tamlin's positioning is not important.
No.
And this dog thing jumps.
Hound,
thank you, jumps at Feyre, but it misses her and falls into the ravine below. Feyre uses her power of Helian's power, in fact, to rip a hole in Hyben's shield. Her and Azriel slip through. She looks back only once and sees Tamlin also jumping through the hole that she'd ripped, and he winnows after he jumps. He disappears. And they winnow as well.
What happens to Tamlin? We don't know.
No.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
So they all make it back to the Illyrian camp, but both her and Az are injured. So, in fact, not the easiest thing they've ever done.
No. But you know who isn't injured? Elain. Elain is the only one who is not injured. Briar is injured.
Yeah,
she was
from
being
the torture.
tortured.
Yes.
So Elaine's the only one who's not injured.
Yes.
And she still gets carried Honestly.
She is the definition of dying swan.
Isn't she?
She is.
She is a dying swan. So I'm so over Elain.
Yes. So Nesta appears and throws her arms around Feyre, sobbing, and thanks her. Now, I don't know last time you remembered Nesta thanking Feyre.
Never. So never happened.
This is a momentous occasion.
It is.
It is. And it needs to be celebrated. Nesta has finally grown manners and has finally thanked her younger sister. But of course, it has to do with saving Elain.
Yes. And I just want to talk about thanking for a minute now that I'm onto it.
Roger.
So Rhys disentangles Elain from Azriel. But as he's like carrying her away, she gives him a kiss on the cheek. That's it. Honestly, it would be the anus for me. Thank you for a beautiful shift. That's it for this episode of the Night Shift Court podcast. Join us again next week where we will continue the adventure of ACOWAR's Book 3, A Court of Wings and Ruin.
Whichever platform you're listening on, we would so appreciate a 5-star review. You can follow us at The Night Shift Court on Instagram, Facebook and TikTok.
I hope the night is kind.